All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Powerful Perspectives, where we bring you world changers, entrepreneurs, athletes, business people, people doing all kinds of crazy, incredible things in the world. And we interview them to reveal how perspective changed their life, how those things that they changed the way that they looked at changed their life, changed the trajectory of where they were headed. And today, as always, I got a real treat for you. I got a guy that I had the privilege of meeting at our top contractor school event back in Fort Lauderdale in June of 2021. This guy spent a lot of time in professional sports. I don't want to give you too much information about him. I'm going to let him share that with you. But stay tuned. I got a special guest for you in Mr. Bimbo Coles. Let's get started. It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up. All right, man. Welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Bro, I'm excited to do this again, man. We just scratched the surface in Fort Lauderdale on the stage, and I'm excited to share, your story with our audience. We were talking a little bit before we got started here, just about how unique and special your story is, man. What you've been able to accomplish in your life, both in professional sports and beyond, just as a human being, man, has it's always been impressive to me, and I'm excited to be able to unpack it today. So. For the audience here, why don't you give them a little background? Let's start with little Bimbo and move forward from there. Like, what was it like growing up? Where did you grow up? What did that look like? What was the experience like? So let's go from little guy all the way up to high school.
Okay. Well, again, thanks for having me. And let's just start out with my name, Bimbo. So since we were starting when I was a kid, so my cousin named me Bimbo when I was 3 months old. It was an old country song that went kind of like Bimbo, Bimbo, where you want to go, yo, something like that. So I was named Bimbo, and it just stuck. Born Covington, Virginia. Moved to Lewisburg, West Virginia at a young age when my mother and dad divorced. Grew up with a mother that worked a number of jobs, so really didn't have much. The oldest of three kids, got a younger sister in the middle and then a younger brother. But just grew up in rural West Virginia. Didn't know anything but sports. Just loved to compete. It didn't matter what it was. If it was tiddlywinks or if it was basketball. So I just loved to compete. And had it was pretty rough growing up, but my heaven, so to speak, was always competing. So I didn't really understand what I was going through at the time until later on. So had a terrible temper. When I was in the 7th grade, my junior high basketball coach who was named Peck Dorsey, I still today, when we talk about, one of the most important people in my life was Peck Dorsey, my junior high basketball coach, because I think at the time he used to say, this kid's special. This kid's going to do a lot of special things in life. And when I talk to him today, he always talks about it wasn't your basketball skills that I was talking about that was going to do something special. It was the person. So he was one of the guys that made me understand at an early age that, you're better than everybody, but how do you get to the best out of everybody? Instead of bringing them down, how do you bring them up? And was a struggle for me early on because I was so competitive and I was so much better than the other kids that if I threw a pass to them and they didn't catch it, I couldn't understand how come they didn't catch the basketball. So instead of me lifting them up, I would bring them down. So he got me to understand, hey, let's bring everybody up around you, and then we have a better team. And I learned that as a seventh grader. And I went from being able to control my temper to being able to get the best out of my teammates. So that guy was Peck Dorsey, who today still dear friend. Every time I go to West Virginia, I usually see him. I played every sport, basketball, football, track, baseball. Same thing in high school. I once played a baseball game and ran a track meet on the same day. Went and played baseball, left baseball, went and ran and came back and played baseball. Just an athlete who loved to compete.
And I have a feeling that hasn't changed much.
You know what? It hasn't, but I'm a little bit more realistic. I understand that I can't do the things that I used to be able to do. So I'm a little hesitant to do some things, but yeah, I'm still very, very competitive, especially now. I don't compete much on the basketball court. It's more in business than it is in basketball. So I try to take that same competitiveness to the business spectrum.
Interesting, man. I want to unpack one thing that you said there, because if you were to tell me that you were a guy with a temper, that would surprise me based on the demeanor that you have today, right? So, did that change? Did you continue to evolve that over time because, you found the value in not having a temper, or does that still exist today and you just kind of suppress it?
I suppress, really, I do suppress. I just don't, I know not to get to that level because it's ugly. So I am, a lot more calmer. But I think that, today I'm just so much more wiser. I'm so much more patient. I'm not quick to react. I definitely like to see, I will analyze the situation. I do understand that I'm not always right. So I listen, and I just don't let things affect me. A lot of times I think, that when you're dealing with people, sometimes their opinion is different than your opinion. And that's okay. And that's kind of how I look at everything. And that's how it keeps me, pretty level-headed and pretty humble, really. I think the biggest thing is in time that I've learned is that I'm not always right. And 5 heads is better than 1 head. So if there's a problem, if I can't solve the problem, then I know there's somebody can. So I basically, that's the way I look at things now in life, is that I'm not always right.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. When I think about, you talking about your junior high basketball coach and somebody that influenced your life like that, it reminds me of, what I always say to people in business today is like, relationship capital is one of the most important things that you can have. Those people that you're connected to, especially the ones that are willing to tell you the truth, those people are so incredibly important in your life, right? Those people that, I just said this on my podcast this morning. I said, those people that always tell you how good you are, they're either a fan or an enemy, right? They are not people that you want giving you advice all the time because, and this is a sports analogy, but man, reading your press clippings is not the best for multiple reasons, right? They either tell you you're not as good as you really are, or they tell you you're way better than you actually are. Neither one of those is good. So just an interesting perspective there that you learned at such a young age, right?
Yeah, and one of in the business that I was in for so many years, that you had to, and it's difficult. It is difficult because people put you on this pedestal and they think you're so much better than you really are. And that was a problem for me. That was a problem. I had a problem with people putting me way up here and thinking that I was just this great person and all of this because of what I did for a living. When I give speeches and I talk to kids, I used to tell them, or I not used to, but I tell them is that I'm no different than anybody else. You know, God given me a gift to be highly competitive in basketball, and I found that gift at an early age. That's the only difference between me and you, because I think everybody has a gift. Everybody, every person in the world has a gift. I think some people get impatient and they don't keep grinding to find that gift, and then they settle for whatever. um, I just found my gift and I went after it, and now that that's over, I'm trying to find another gift, and attack it like I did, you know, with my sport. So everybody has a gift. You just have to be patient and keep grinding until you find it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we talked about this in Fort Lauderdale. But for the folks that weren't there, I want to talk about, your choice to go to Virginia Tech, right? And what made you make that choice versus all of the other options that you had. I can't remember exactly how many options you had, but I'm sure there was a list of places that you could have gone to college. And being a guy from West Virginia, not choosing the beloved Mountaineers. There's a reason behind that, I know, but I want you to tell the audience what happened there and why you chose to go the direction that you did.
Well, the recruiting stages for me was tough. You know, being from West Virginia and then getting bulks mail from college and all that stuff. So it was kind of a crazy thing, and I wanted to decide early because I was getting tired of getting all of this mail and all of this stuff, so I could just really focus on what I was doing in sports. So um, I was being recruited for basketball and football, and then the crazy thing about the whole situation, I got drafted to play baseball. So it was kind of like, okay, you're going to play football, you're going to play baseball, you're going to play basketball. What are you going to do? My mom didn't want me to play football, so that kind of knocked out football. Baseball was in the summer, so I wanted to have my summers free, so it kind of knocked out baseball. So I chose basketball. But at the time when I was going through recruiting, I was still trying to decide if I was going to do basketball and football. But at the time when I went to Morgantown and it was my first visit, I was going to WVU, I was going to Virginia Tech, I was going to Michigan, UCLA, and then I was coming back and going to Maryland to get my 5 visits in, pretty much in that order. But I was visiting every school for basketball and football. So I was visiting both coaches, and I had West Virginia, and being from West Virginia, that's all you talk about, that's all you hear about, because that's it, that's what you have. When you're talking about sports, is the Mountaineers. So growing up, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a Mountaineer. I wanted to play for the Mountaineers. When my visit was meeting Coach Don Nealon, who was the football coach, and also Gail Catlett, who was the basketball coach, and met with Don Nealon and the staff on Friday, and I got the okay to play football. They were going to offer me a scholarship to play football, but they were going to let me do both. Met with Coach Catlett on Saturday and had a great meeting and hung out with the players Saturday night and got the okay that I could play football. So in my mind, I was thinking I was going to come to West Virginia and do 2 sports. But my closing meeting with Coach Gail Catlett is he threw the papers in front of me and wanted me to sign. I really wasn't ready to sign yet, but I was ready to give him a verbal commitment. But I wanted to see other schools. I actually wanted to travel to California. I'm from Lewisburg, West Virginia. So getting out of West Virginia was going to be fun. So I said, no, I'm not going to sign today. And he said, if you don't sign today, I won't have a scholarship for you. So That was kind of like a smack in the face, heartbreaking. Um, so that just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth. The following weekend, I went to Virginia Tech, and I just fell in love with the place. Fell in love with it. Um, I had great visit. Saturday basketball game. It was Virginia Tech against Memphis. Memphis was the number one team in the country, and Tech beat them. And it was just it was unbelievable. Monday morning, I made a verbal commitment to Virginia Tech. Didn't take my other three visits, and eventually signed with Virginia Tech. But that was like for the next 6-7 months, that was probably the worst 6-7 months of my life, because I was getting thousands of hate mail from people in West Virginia. It was crazy. I mean, hate, racial, a little bit of everything, because I signed with Virginia Tech. And so it's always really put a bad taste in my mouth when you talk about the Mountaineers. But I've been able to forgive, even though I'm not a Mountaineer fan, but I forgive. And That's kind of my whole story about my whole recruiting. And I still get a lot of slack from it today. I'll go home and, my son visit WVU basketball program this fall on a visit for basketball, and it was at the Virginia Tech football game. Uh, so so I still hear a lot of stuff about me going to Virginia Tech.
So that's an interesting one, man. That is probably a massive perspective shift in itself, right? On how you operate in life. I'm sure you operate with less pressure on people as a result of that interaction, right? When you go and somebody tells you, hey, I want you to sign today, or you can't have what I'm offering you, and you're not ready to sign, like you could have ended up a Mountaineer if they didn't put you in that position. And that is an interesting place to look at in your life, to say, like, how did that shape you, right? Like, did you look at things differently? Did you look at Virginia Tech through a completely different lens because of how welcoming it was, or low pressure it was, and then all these other things kind of come together, and that's what makes you make that decision? But it's always interesting to me when I do these interviews to see those points that really have an impact on you. And then, to add on to that, all of the, getting hate mail for months afterwards because of a decision that, nobody maybe knew that story, or a lot of people probably didn't know that story. They just were mad at you because you didn't choose the place that they wanted you to go to. And those things make a massive difference in our lives as we grow into adults, and we start to look at situations. For me personally, there have been times when people have tried to force me into things. And so the way that I run my company is different than that. I don't try to control people. I don't try to put pressure on people, whether it's from sales or employees or whatever it may be, because of those experiences that I've had in my life. Is that similar for you?
Absolutely. Um, my partner, Chuck Neely, he tells me all the time, he said, man, you're so great to work with, because you have understanding, and, you let me be me. And I feel like the way I've grown up, the struggles in my life that I had, that I tried to make it as easy as possible for the people that are around me, and make sure that they feel very, very comfortable. And I'm starting to learn that more and more since I've been doing business, because I've been doing sales trainings and all of that stuff, as with building rapport. If it's business rapport or personal rapport, that means the world, and making people comfortable and making them at ease. For me, it's just kind of easy to do, because I think just because of my upbringings, I've had it tough. But and I'm not saying that for people to say poor Bimbo, because I think the way I was brought up and the things that happened in my life has shaped me to the person who I am today. And I have a better understanding, from uh, and this is something we were just talking about the other day. My buddy was like, man, you understand from a billionaire's perspective and from a perspective of somebody who hasn't had something. And that's what makes you special, because you can go on the street and talk to somebody, a blue collar worker that's busting his butt every day, and make that person comfortable. But then you can go and also talk to someone that's a billionaire and make them feel comfortable, when it should be the other way around. And it's I think just because of the way I was raised and the things that's happened in my life has shaped me to be the person I am today.
I love it, man. I love it. And I think that's true for everyone in some way, shape, or form, right? But when you get so much of a variety of how life can be, it was the same for me. I grew up in Uniontown, Pennsylvania. It's one of the poorest counties in Pennsylvania. And so I was able to be around, again, now I have friends that are, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And, I still have the friends from back home that have, challenges in the community that they're trying to impact. And I think that, when you see life from every different angle, man, it's so valuable, and it gives you that perspective to allow you to see things from everybody's angle. Right. And I like to say, when somebody can have 360-degree perspective, like you can genuinely see things from everybody's side of things, it makes a massive impact on any situation, whether it's life, business, sports, anything like that. Makes a huge difference. So, all right. So you go to Virginia Tech. Obviously, you did pretty well there, based on the fact that you ended up where you ended up. So what was life like at Virginia Tech? Explain that, going from, a small town in West Virginia to, moving onto a college campus and, being a star basketball player. What is that like, man? That transition has to be incredible.
You know what? It was it was humbling, very humbling at first, because here I am, probably the best athlete in the state of West Virginia. So I was pretty recognized throughout the state of West Virginia. But going to Virginia Tech, like my first day, and I tell this story to my kids all the time. So when I went to check into the dorm, they couldn't find my name. And they were looking through, and they was like, "I'm sorry, you're not in here." I was like, "I'm, Bimbo Coles, with basketball." And the dude was like, "Oh, you're a basketball player." He's like, "I was looking through the cross country list." So he dude thought I was a daggone cross country player, runner when I went to school. And I was like, "Dude, I'm no cross country runner. I'm Bimbo Coles. I'm a hooper." So, and then our first day, like that was my first day at school. So my second day at school, we were going, so we had like a 3:30 just pickup games, all the players, and then there was former players in the gym too, like that were seniors that just Curry was there. A lot of people know who Dale Curry is, or at least they know his son Steph Curry. Well, Dale Curry is at the time was the best player in Virginia Tech history. All-time leading scorer, just got drafted into the NBA. So he was on campus and he was in the gym. So they were basically controlling the pickup games and all of that stuff. So they picked 10 players and I didn't get picked. And that was like the first time in my life that I never got picked, to play. So you got 5-on-5 and I had to sit out the first game. So that was my second day. That was, the first day they thought I was a cross country runner, which was crazy. And then the second day I didn't get picked. So, but I made it so hard on them when I started playing, because I was so ticked off about it that I was like, when I get in there, this will be the last time that they don't pick me. And of course it was the last time that I didn't get picked. So that was my first 2 days there, but it ended up being just a terrific 4 years of my life. After my second year there, I got invited to the Olympic trials. So I got to go to um, the training, Olympic training in Colorado Springs, and try out with 96 players, and went through that whole process, and then end up making the Olympic team. And then, that really changed my life after that. I was up and coming anyway as a sophomore, had a 51 point game that year. So people were starting to recognize me. But after that, I was just well known. So it went from people knowing me to everybody, which absolutely became a nightmare for that year. I really didn't have a good year that year, so I decided to come back. But just my whole Virginia Tech experience was just amazing. I had great people who took care of me off campus. They had like a foster parent program there's families that took care of players, and with food and laundry and stuff like that you don't really want to do. So just the people that I met, I still have a lot of great relationships with a lot of the football players more than I do basketball, and I'm the ambassador to athletics, so I actually work for them quite a few times a year. So it was just an amazing 4 years of my life there.
So what was it like going to the Olympics, man? That's something that not a lot of people get the opportunity to do, go and represent our country, doing something that you love, right? It's got to be just a surreal experience to travel around the world to go represent your country. And like you said, it's arguably the largest stage in the world, right? I mean,
Yes. Yes. You know what? When we talk about surreal, it's more surreal now than it was at the time, because I was 19, 20 years old. And I'm telling you, when I look back on it, I was doing nothing but competing. That was it. That whole experience for me was going in the gym and competing as hard and on a high level every single day. That's what it was all about for me. I didn't have a clue what I was really doing until I looked back after it was done and over with, and I got a little bit older. I looked back and I was like, that was an amazing experience, and it is kind of surreal. And my kids sometimes like, did you really play in the Olympics? And like, yeah, I did. So at the time, I'm telling you, I just competed. I was just competing. And then next thing you know, I was on the Olympic team. Um, and now when I look back, it was just a great experience.
so crazy. And, if there was one thing, after I met you, I got to, ask some questions. Like, I walked away, man, and I love spending time with people that just have this like indescribable grit, right? And that is exactly like after I had conversation with you, I'm like, dude, this guy is just a competitor and full of grit, man. Like that is, it's talent certainly gets you in the game, but it takes grit, determination, and massive discipline to stay, right? And that is, I always say, man, it's hard to achieve success. It's a hell of a lot harder to keep it.
Yeah, I believe that. I like to tell people I can get down and dig ditches with the best of them. I mean, I really can. I'm not scared to work. Um, I'm willing to do whatever I can to make things successful and whatever I do. I mean, I before I got into the video surveillance business, I worked as the VP of a live security guard company, and the owner of the company needed me to stand post a couple times, and I was just kind of like, man, I'm not a freaking security guard to stand post, but I did it because that's who I am. That's how I was raised, and I'm not afraid to do what I'm asking somebody else to do. So I'll get down and dig ditches with the best of them.
No question, man, and be the best ditch digger in the group.
Absolutely.
That's what it's all about, right? So what's it like when you finally get the call that you're going to be drafted into the NBA? Describe that feeling, man, because that's the culmination of a lifetime of competing and working in all hours of the day and night in the gym, and you're your dream, so to say, in that moment becomes a reality. How does that shift the way that you look at life?
Uh, you know what? It at first it didn't shift much because and this is what people trip out on the story about draft night was that I wasn't in New York. I was actually playing in a co-ed softball game at Virginia Tech with a draft party that was being held at my townhouse. So I got the call as I was walking in the door from a softball game. So um, it didn't, my perspective on life and everything didn't change much at all because the only difference was taking me to another location. So I went from Blacksburg to Miami, which is definitely a big shift in culture and everything. Uh, but you were taking this hard working, highly competitive kid and sitting him into another environment where he can compete. And that's what happened. I've never thought about getting cut um, because I was doing something that I absolutely love to do every single day. And nobody was going to outwork me. No one. No one on our team, and I tell you, up until my 14th year in the NBA, nobody outworked me. Nobody beat me in line sprints. Nothing. It didn't matter what it was. I was winning at it, and I was going to be the hardest worker out there. So that's what happened. You took this kid from this environment to another environment and said, "Hey, listen, do what you did over here." And that's what I did for my whole 14 years. And that was why I stayed in the NBA for 14 years, because there was nobody that was going to outwork me. And two, I was going to be very professional and I was going to do what they wanted me to do. I wasn't going to get in trouble. And just was going to, I was just a hard worker and very competitive, and I was going to outwork the next guy. Didn't matter.
Was it surreal that they were going to pay you money to do what you did your whole life just because that's who you were?
Yes. No, that part. I was like, I get to go to the gym every single day because I love to practice. I would have did it for free because I loved it. Even when before they were paying me, I was in the gym every day or outside. In West Virginia, we didn't play inside. We played outside on the courts at Dory Miller Park. So yeah, for someone to pay me to do what I absolutely love to do, I get up thinking about it. I go to sleep thinking about it. I want to do it all day. Yeah, very surreal.
What are some of the greatest memories you have of your rookie year in the NBA?
I think one of the greatest memories is just meeting, my best friend Keith Askins. We competed against each other for 2 years in college. He played for the University of Alabama. Um, they they actually beat us at Alabama on a buzzer beater, and then we beat them at Virginia Tech after they had just beat North Carolina at North Carolina. They came to Blacksburg like 2 days later, and we beat them. And Keith Askins was on that team. Um, we After the draft, I went to Miami. He was on my flight, and the guy was picking him up. And I didn't know he was on my flight. I didn't know the guy was picking him up, but kind of walked around the corner, and we were at baggage claim together. And I was like, Keith? He was like, Bimbo, what's up? And we just started talking, and then door was like, picked both of us up. And I mean, from that point on, we were together every day. We're just best friends, and we still talk today. That was probably um, one of my other ones is probably one day in practice is like, and we had like 7 rookies that year. We were a young organization. Um, and all the rookies we were basically on the second team. and we were just kicking the starters' butt in practice. I mean, just eating them alive. And Coach Rothstein was so ticked off that he made us run after practice, like all us rookies, and let all the veteran guys, which they wasn't really veteran, they was like 2-3 years in the league, but he made us run line sprints, like 10, 15 of them. And after every line sprint, he'd get in my face. And this is this little dude, little coach, about 5'7". So he's up in my face and he's yelling at me and he's going, "Bimbo Coles, you think I'm an MF, don't you? You think I'm an MF?" And I was just sitting there looking at him and wasn't saying a word. And he was just yelling at me, and he'd blow his whistle. We take off running. And we did this about 10 times, and he got back up in my face. And finally I had enough. And I said, "Coach, you don't have to say another word to me. Just keep blowing the whistle. I'll run all day for you." And and he kind of chuckled and he blew his whistle and said, "Get the heck out of here." And finally practice was over with. But that was a great memory because, he was trying to get the best of us, and we just didn't blink. I was like, "Man, I can run all day. Let's, just blow the whistle. I'll run all day." So that was our rookie year was cool because we had a lot of rookies that year.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. And I want to jump into the business stuff, but before we do that, you got to tell this audience the story about the playoffs and playing the Bulls, and the story that you shared from the stage in Fort Lauderdale about Michael.
Well, first of all, Michael is the GOAT. So I'm just if any of you listeners are out there, I'm just gonna let you know right now, Michael is the real GOAT.
We are in agreement on that one, man.
Okay.
If anybody that debates that, I don't think spent enough time watching basketball.
Absolutely. So, this is my second year in the league, and it's the Miami Heat's third year as an organization. And we finally not finally, but it was really quick to make it that soon. We were all young. You had 12 guys on a team that were young, that were like 25 and younger. We make the playoffs, Miami Heat's first playoff, but we got in as the 8th seed, so we had to play the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan and that crew.
And what year is this?
This is I want to say is 1992. I think it's maybe the first year they won. It's our first year, so it's either 92 or 93, somewhere around in there. The Bulls won the championship. It might have been the first of their first three. So we play them. We go up to Chicago, and they kick our butts. First 2 games, they kick our butts. We're going back to Miami, and again, this is our first playoff game in the franchise history. So the city is rocking, the building's rocking. It's our first playoff game ever. You could feel the energy in the building when you drove into the building underneath. You could just feel it. It was different. It's hard for me to even explain it, but it was different. I got nervous. I got the goosebumps right now, and I was nervous pretty much right away when I walked into or drove into the building. So the place is rocking. There's clackers going off, and the atmosphere is unbelievable. We go up in the first quarter, we kicking their butts, and we're like, again, we're 25 and younger. We're talking junk, and we walk over to Michael and we're like, "We're kicking y'all's butt today. You got to come back and play us again. We're kicking y'all's butt." He's taking the ball out of bounds. He looks up. It's 3 or 4 of us over talking junk to him. He was like, "You little rookies." He was like, "I played 36 holes of golf today. I was going to take it easy on you guys, but now I'm going to kick your ass." And from that point on, now this is the beginning of the second quarter, and he hasn't scored any points in the first quarter, didn't score any points. So from the second quarter on, he scored 56 points on us. And they come back and they kick our butts. we get in the locker room, and Coach Kevin Lockery, who was Michael's coach, like when he was a rookie, said to us, he was our coach. He said, fellas, let this be a learning lesson for you guys. When a sleeping bear is asleep, let him sleep. From then, I never, ever said another word to Michael Jordan.
Never? Like maybe hello?
Yeah. But, you know, when I tell my kid, especially my son Bailey, he was like, Daddy, you're so competitive. What about Michael Jordan? I was like, there's only two people in the world that I thought was more competitive than me. And one was Michael Jordan and the other one was Kobe Bryant. And that's it. So just, you know, someone that's highly competitive, that has all the talent, has the body, the strength, the quickness, the speed, and a very high basketball IQ. And then you put all of that together with someone that's, you know, he's off the charts in all them areas, but he's also off the charts in the competitive area. So that's what made him to me, the best of all time, because, you know, it's the total package.
The other guy you mentioned wasn't too bad either, man. And both of those guys, you know, what comes to mind when I think of either of them is that they both had that, you know, for lack of better description, a dark side, right?
Yeah.
Where like when they, you know, when he wants to decide to pour 56 on you, that's what's going to happen. And you know, it's that switch. And I think about that in business, you know, like when you have that switch where you get tunnel vision and there's just nothing that's going to stop you from succeeding. That is, you know, you see the same in business. You know, when we're trying to hire people in our company, I say we're looking for business athletes with that competitive edge, that tunnel vision, that dark side that we're talking about, that those two guys have. You have it too, right? That temper that you referred to, man, that is the dark side. That is, you know, the ability to check in and be frustrated that somebody else isn't functioning at the same level that you are. They're not vibrating at the same frequency that you are. So let's talk about the transition to business, because I want to dig into what you're doing now. I think and we talked about this before we jumped on too, such an innovative play in the construction space, you know, such an incredible need that people have. And we talked about this. Sometimes people don't realize the need that they have right away, right? And so you saw something, and the first time we talked, I said to you, like, man, this is an incredible idea, because people don't have it. They're not familiar with it. It may not be something that they think about every day or that they even know that's available. But when you have that vision and you see something and you have the work ethic, the tenacity, the relentless approach that you guys have, it's undeniable that you'll be successful. It's a matter of how soon you can make it happen when it's something new to people. So explain to the audience what you guys are doing, and kind of what you've learned in the process of getting this up and running and talking to people about what your offer is and what you guys have going on.
Well, I mean, basically, we are a complete video surveillance company with world-class products. You know, especially when you're dealing with construction companies, we have a mobile video surveillance system that we can pull up, and it can give you documentation and also accountability on your property, on your site, wherever you are with video surveillance. You know, live streams, recorded, storage in the cloud. We partner with the #1 video cloud storage company in the world, with Eagle Eye. So their video storage is the best in the world. So, you know, Brian, when you're talking about, you know, moving from the basketball arena to the business arena, you know, they're similar. They're similar in the competitiveness and you know, what you need to be successful in business, and it is the drive and determination and to never give up and to dig ditches and to grind and to get after it, to, you know, basically 24/7. And that's what we have done. But, you know, what I find is that's been difficult for me is that I don't know everything. like with basketball, like I know everything about the game of basketball, from different angles to, body control to, how to get over a screen and how to create space, how to make somebody go where they don't want to go, how to put the big guy in jail when you go into the basket. All of these things about basketball, I could tell you. You could basically ask me anything and I can tell you. But in business, it's been difficult because now I have to learn it. And, I want things to happen right now, but I know they can't because I still don't know everything. And that's been a struggle for me a little bit, is that I'm having to study. I'm having to find time in my day to study, you know, everything about my business, but everything about my competitor's business and everything about my client's business. So, and that's been difficult for me because now I have to structure my day, and I have to, and this a little bit of this comes back to basketball anyway, because you have to structure, you have to find time, you have to be able to time management. And that's something that I had to learn how to do even better because I have to study. And then I have to go back and restudy the stuff that I thought I knew, just so I know it even better. So it's been a little difficult, but it's I take the same approach: keep grinding, keep digging ditches, keep laying seeds. So it's been really rewarding for me because I guess maybe it's that feeling that I get inside of maybe that's pressure, or I don't know what it is, but it's a feeling that I absolutely love. So it's been fun.
I always say, man, pressure is a privilege. Don't avoid it, right? Lean into it. Choose to do the hard things. When you choose to do the hard things, life gets easy. When you try to do the easy things, life gets hard, right?
Yes.
And so what are some of the biggest lessons, interacting with the clients that you've interacted with, whether it's construction or outside of construction? What are some of the lessons that you've learned from people, like the specific business problems that people have, that what you guys are doing are able to impact or solve? Or what are some of the things that people are looking for your services to solve for them?
Well, the biggest thing is like, for me, it's been like really been building rapport. Just making sure that our customers are comfortable, and building that credibility and doing what we're saying that we're going to do, and making sure that they understand that they're the most important person. It's not about me, it's about you, and finding your needs and finding a solution to your needs. We have fixed cameras, we have mobile cameras, we have um, tethered drones, we have drones. We can provide any type of surveillance that any construction sites that they want. We can customize the solution for them. We know that, with construction sites today, there's site theft. Not only is there site theft, there's employee theft, with just time, you know, checking in, saying they're there early and not being there. Um, we like to be able to ensure safe working space for their employees, with our video surveillance, that accountability, and also the documentation that we can provide on an everyday basis. So, we we can do anything, and we understand what's going on in the construction business today, especially with raw materials. Um, there's not a lot of materials out there right now. The value of materials have went up.
Dude, I was just gonna say, man, if something goes missing today, it's not just the cost; it's the inability to get it again.
Absolutely. So, and a lot of that stuff is laying around. I went to a site yesterday, just yesterday, because it was right down the street from where I'm staying in Charlotte right now. And I walked up on the site, walked around the site, saw all the plywood and all of that stuff stacked up, and nobody said a word to me. Nobody said a word. And I was like, dude, I can just pull my truck up and start taking some of this plywood. And I think plywood has gone up a bunch.
Oh man, it's I think it's $4,500 a pallet now or something
Yeah,
like
so it's gone up, and we can take care of that. With our system, it's a deterrent. We can record it. We have strobe and blue lights on it where it can tell the thief that, hey, we're watching you, and the police have been notified. And that's what it does. It alerts. We can alert whoever it wants. You, me, the police station, whoever. And that's with our mobile video trailer that has VMS system on it. It's deployable in 30 minutes, and has solar panels with backup batteries, cellular modem, and everything is stored in the cloud. So it's a great piece of equipment for construction sites. But we're not just a mobile trailers. We can come in and put fixed cameras up, solve some solutions in residential, commercial buildings. And then we're looking to do tethered drones and drones where we can do even more with big developments, where we can go up and with our tethered drones, they can stay up for 24 hours, and survey your give you your surveillance for your whole complex. So we actually went to Brooklyn, New York, on Tuesday, spent the day with our drone company, and we could see right through the window of the Empire State Building from 3.6 miles away. So it was so cool to see. Yeah, it's like the technology is crazy. It's kind of scary because we can zoom 6 miles away and see what's going on in a 360-degree radius. So it's amazing. It's amazing with the technology out there. But we can customize from one camera to 1,000 cameras, whatever you need.
Yeah. So those companies that are out there, because I know there's a lot of them that listen to this show, anybody that's in construction or that has a need in any other business for this type of surveillance, it is the future, guys. Like, so you may look at it, a lot of companies might look at that as an expense, much like many people look at any new product when it's introduced to the market and say like, well, this is an expense, it's not an expense, guys. It is an investment to protect what it is. It's similar to marketing. We didn't spend any money on marketing for a long time at our company, and we looked at that as an expense. And then I'm like, dude, how do we go without this? Right now, you look at the investment of what that takes versus the return on investment of what happens when nobody knows who you are. Well, in the camera business, in the video surveillance business, if nobody, you don't know what you don't know. And so when you put video surveillance up, what does, time theft look like? And it's not just time theft and the money that you're losing. What is the productivity that you're losing in a 1-year time span that your customers are waiting longer for their projects to be done? Mm-hmm. The culture within your business is disintegrating because one guy just isn't showing up all the time, right? There's a million different things that you're going to discover when you have video surveillance that you would not be able to know without it. And so, we were talking before we got on here, but overnight, last night, on the date that this is being recorded, the electric vehicle company Rivian now has a higher value than Ford Motor Company. And so things are changing in the world, guys. And so for those of you listening that haven't considered this solution within your business, it's a necessity. It's a necessity for marketing. It's a necessity for surveillance. People want to know that their job sites are safe. Those customers that you're building for. This is a huge separator and differentiator in the construction industry. So I'm super excited, man, for what you guys are doing. And I know, man, that if there's anybody that was meant to put something out there that's new and innovative and challenging people's thinking, it is somebody with the relentless discipline and competitive nature that you have. So I'm excited, man. And so anybody that's out there, how do they get a hold of you guys to be able to connect and have this discussion?
Well, they can get a hold of me through email, which is bimbo@evsurveillance.com. Again, that's bimbo@evsurveillance.com. They can check us out on our website, which is evsurveillance.com. evsurveillance.com. They can call the office at 888-850-6848. That's 888-850-6848. And with our company, Brian, here's the thing. What I try to tell people is that I'm going to give you the best service. I'm going to work hard for you. I'm going to give you the best solution so you can get a return on your investment. And you're going to get me. You're not going to get somebody that I'm going to send there to help you. It's going to be me and my partner. We're both going to come and make sure that we give you the best product out there that's going to help your business. And if there's a problem, you call me. You don't call a sales guy. You get in touch with me, and we're going to work our butts off to make sure there's the best solution out there for you.
I love it, man. I love it. And after hearing your story today, I don't know who the hell wouldn't want to work with you, because there's no question that what you're saying is truth. That the team that you get is going to work hard, because this guy probably doesn't surround himself with people that don't. So not just you, they get you, but they also get a bunch of other people that are going to give it everything they got to. And, it's incredible, man. So I'm excited for you guys to continue to build and keep pressing. I was telling you before we got on here, man, I remember, trying to introduce innovation and different ideas in the construction world when we started doing it. And it's not always easy to get people to see it through a different lens. But, man, once they do see it, it's like a whole new world opens up, and people are able to conceptually think about what they were actually missing that they weren't even aware of. So that's your mission, man. Any final words, man? Any final thoughts or things that you want to share with everybody?
Man, Brian, I just really appreciate talking to you today. It's been good. It's been like a great hour and a half of therapy. It's been great. I really appreciate you having me on, and all the GCs and contractors out there. Let us help you. We can design anything. Eagle Vision Surveillance. We believe that we're the best out there, and we're going to work harder than anybody else. But we're blessed and very thankful to even have an opportunity to get out in the construction industry. We know there's a big need out there, and we want to help you guys be safe.
Amen, brother. Well, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the relationship we've been able to establish. We're just getting started, man. And as we get moving, and you guys, I just have this vision. Eagle Vision will be everywhere, man, all across the country. Tons of people out there. So if you guys are listening, please do us a favor and share this episode out. I can guarantee you got some kind of value out of this. So when you get value out of this show, the price you got to pay is just share it with one person, right? We don't ask you to plaster it everywhere, but just share it with one person that you think would get some value out of this. And I'm just going to tell you guys this. We had a conversation before we got started here. I'm going to get this guy involved in some more stuff and be able to take the knowledge that that guy has inside of his head and share it with a lot more people, not just in the video space, but outside of that too. I was telling him just how valuable it is. The experiences that he's had in his life and what he's been able to accomplish is incredible. So, brother, I appreciate you, and I'm grateful that you would spend this time with me here today. And until next time, guys, this is another episode of Powerful Perspectives. Thank you guys for always listening, supporting, and sharing this out. Please leave us a review on the podcast platforms. That allows us to be able to reach more people and for more people to get introduced to this show. I love you guys, and I will see you again next week right here on Powerful Perspectives. See you next time. It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up. Next time. It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.